it randomizes enemies where they're placed, the enemy's weaknesses, how much they take from Buster and the assorted weapons you gain. You get assorted boss AIs, bosses that are going to be in their stages. As you can see, you also got randomized colors, randomized music. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. But right now, we got Coltaho and Metalow running the same stage right now as they both start with Quickman.
Yeah, definitely really kind of a go-to for a lot of people when they do the randomizer. Quick is a pretty easy one to get through. You get a couple things like an E-Tank and an extra life to go ahead, and it kind of makes the whole thing a little easier. And Coltaho didn't get to didn't get through that beam in enough time, and that basically set him back for life.
Yeah, Fat Fangs is probably one of the most feared enemies in the randomizer. As you can see, even though it was just in its way just enough for Coltaho not to get in good position to try to get right through as he does right now and grab this E-Tank. So it's pretty much going to be just strictly based on where the enemies are going to be and how annoying they can be and how they can trip our runners up.
Yes, definitely. And also, just because this is randomizer, it's not like there's any really special strats that you would do like if it was a vanilla Mega Man. So, I mean, anything can happen at this point. Just because Coltaho took that slip up doesn't mean that something couldn't happen later on in the game for Metalow, and then Coltaho could be ahead.
Oh, right now, Coltaho's having a little bit of trouble taking yet another death in Quickman stage, taking another death by the beans. He's pulling himself a little bit behind while Metalow is fighting Airman in Quickman's room. So, continue.
Oh no, I was just watching the pattern here. He was actually getting some pretty decent RNG pattern at that point.
Yeah, as you can see, the patterns from the tornadoes from Airmen are just as randomized as any other thing in this game. So you can get a number of tornado patterns before Airman decides to start moving, and they can just be fixed anywhere on the screen. Coltaho taking the extra life there on the force beam fall, trying to recover whatever lives he lost early on.
Probably a good move as well. I mean, you know, had a couple lives lost there. You don't want to have to take a game over just to try to regroup your lives.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Metalow is going to probably what would be one of the second easier choices in Flashman stage. Checks the wall weakness, is not weak to Buster. Generally there you would just normally see if the Buster is weak against the walls. As you would expect, the wall weakness is randomized, so that's a good spot to at least check Buster. You probably could check your other weapons, but you probably have so few weapons that the odds of it being the weapon you gain is pretty low.
Yes, definitely. That's definitely true, especially on this randomizer.
So as you can see, Metalow is pretty much moving on at a pretty decent pace. Well, the pace is going to be a little slow as we got these drills on the way, and they look pretty durable. Pretty annoying enemies to deal with in a randomizer.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate too that they're there because it just makes it kind of a hassle to even try to get that E-Tank, which is usually kind of a gimme at most times.
Well, I do know that Metalow tends to skip that E-Tank. He's one of the more accomplished randomizer runners, and he's usually comfortable at least grabbing one E-Tank, especially if he hasn't used it on the boss firing Quickman stage. Speaking of which, we got Quickman in Flashman's room.
Definitely making it look like an easy fight for Metalow.
Yeah, it looked like we got a pretty significantly Buster soft weak Quickman that's actually not so quick.
Definitely slow man for this one.
We also found that item 3 has been found as well. For those that are not familiar with the randomizer, the items are actually randomized in three specific Robot Master stages, so you never know where an item is at in a given seed.
Definitely, and also with the item 3, if Metalow is a zipping type of person and doesn't need item 2 to go through the Yoku blocks, he could have already skipped ahead and started running through the Heatman stage if he wanted to kind of just get it out of the way early.
Meanwhile, we had Joe Central in the start of Woodman stage, which I think Metalow is gonna. Ooh, yeah, I just noticed.
Yeah, Coltaho took a little bit of a big hit there.
So yes, Metalow is going to Woodman stage. I'm pretty sure that he's gonna try to do item 3 zips to try to do good wood. Metalow is a pretty accomplished. It's a decently accomplished Mega Man 2 vanilla runner in his own right, having at least a 29 in any percent difficult. So I'm pretty sure that Metalow knows the strats to do good wood with item 3, and even without quick boomerangs. But looks like he's definitely gonna try it.
If he gets this is gonna be a really good spot for him.
Actually, you can argue that he probably took a little bit of a risk. This is an area where you can potentially soft lock if your fat fans are around, because you cannot move and zip at the same time a fat fan is blowing you. And if you don't have time stopper, and a good time stopper, since the effects of the time stopper is randomized in and of itself, you can wind up getting yourself locked up in place and you'll be in a bad time.
Yeah, definitely. Looking over at Coltaho's screen, it looks like he decided to take Airman a little earlier than normal, which has always been kind of it's basically been everybody's muse in this entire tournament, if I can say so.
Well, anyway, Metalow successfully does the good woods up and finds Woodman in his vanilla stage. And good job game, good job Metalow. Everything seemed to be going up pretty good for Metalow right now.
Yeah, that was definitely probably one of the easier kills that's going to be in the rest of these 8 bosses right here.
It looks like we got Joe Country Part 2 in the second half of Airman stage. So we got the Joe killing fields, as the Joes are just pretty much just littered all over the second half of Airman stage.
Well, although, you know, they are kind of somewhat of a threat, they aren't the worst thing to have in this stage, so you can definitely get through this a little bit of you know, not too much of a problem, as opposed to fanboys or, you know, running roosters. I mean, I've seen it all. It comes to a point where sometimes it just feels almost impossible.
Well, probably for Coltaho's sake, it's lucky that the Joes are actually, well, both the Joes and the Joe Mechs are vulnerable to the Buster. Both of those could be randomly immune, and that could have been even more trouble for Coltaho as he goes to fight Bubble Man now.
Definitely. Metalow gets the bubble skip right there. Does it pretty solid.
Bubble Man looks like he's high spamming, slow moving bubbles.
He's definitely trying to fly, and it looks like he can't fly too high.
I'm pretty sure him being in the air is a whole new experience for Bubble Man, so flying is pretty much just like a whole new learning experience for him. So too bad he can't spread his wings.
He's
in any case,
definitely trying to go the.
He got his wings clipped.
Definitely trying to go the Gyro Man route, but it wasn't working.
So it looks like we got Metal Man in Bubble Room. So Metal Man is pretty interesting in Bubble Man's room. To the fact that he has a really high jump thanks to the water physics, depending on his AI set, he could be really spammy on his metal blades on the way back down. There is a way to manipulate Metal Man, but Metalow doesn't seem he knows how to do it, but it really doesn't matter. It's still Metal Man. He's still relatively easy, and Metalow pretty much just proves my point.
Yeah, definitely got through that no problem, even when he did those double, triple jumps, you know, before even throwing his blades over.
Coltaho also performing the Buster only zip as well, so good job on him, while Metalow is following suit and is about to go to Airman stage himself. So right now we learned that the first half isn't all that oh wow.
Yeah, wow. And that's a really tough part to die, just because it sets you so far back. You know, you take the zip to get through all this, and then dying right there basically sets you back, and you have to run through it without using any of the zips. I mean, you could use an item 1 zip, but in this case, you know, it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm known to pretty much just rage quit every time I die after making a successful zip. It's really a bad feel. And I'm pretty sure that is just something that Coltaho just kind of feels a little bad about, but he's still gonna keep going. I know he's gonna try to finish. He's a good trooper, so I'm sure he's about to get back to the boss room in due time.
Definitely. I mean, this race is definitely nowhere near from being over, so there's still a lot of time left to catch up.
Meanwhile, Metalow is discovering our Joe airfields, trying to plow through as many Joes as he can. Like I said before, it's just fortunate that the Joes are actually not immune to Buster and definitely not immune to Leaf Shield. Well, except for the mechs, which says, "Forget your leads, I got a mech."
Coltaho's having a little bit of trouble here trying to keep this this Metalman in check. I think he's just trying to kind of let him bounce around while he takes, you know, hits just to be on the safe side, but he's taking a couple actually body shots, which is very risky.
Actually, Coltaho was actually doing the manipulation as I was stating about, but there's a little more effective way of performing it. But for right now, the fact of the matter is, Coltaho has beaten Metalman and is able to move on to his next stage, while Metalow is forced to take an E-Tank on Bubbleman, but finds a pretty strong weakness in the Leaf Shield.
Yeah, very strong.
So Coltaho is going to start with his Metalman run. Right now, we still don't know where items 2 and 1 are, so we're still on the lookout for them. Item 2 remains unchanged in the randomizer, but item 1 does have significant changes. It's the only item that has changes in the randomizer, as its duration and his speed and his vertical speed are the only attributes that are randomized.
Both of them are getting through this pretty easily. There's not too many crazy bosses at this point. But we've definitely seen the second half of this become quite a death trap for a lot of the guys in these runs.
Yeah, especially if you got enemies like Drill, the moles, Drill, our fat fans,
and
even the Shockman.
And those the shooters right there as well can be a pain. I've seen many people try to jump over and see those guys as they're jumping over, and then they try to pause buffer, but still, you know, get hit and end up falling to their death.
Yeah, the Shockmen are actually pretty dangerous snipers at the jump that Coltaho is coming in right now. You're probably gonna see wait,
oh, yeah.
This is pretty much what Matt Philly was talking about.
that commentator's curse. Metalow went over for the E-Tank, so he was able to take the shorter jump, which allowed him to get away from the Metroid that was already coming down. So that was probably the best move he could have made.
Well, to me, it was a lucky move in the fact that the Shotman wasn't there to stop him out in the air, because that's actually a real best spot to try to do a pause buffer with this particular enemy set.
Oh, definitely. Ooh, Coltaho went for a pause buffer, which was really late, but he was lucky enough that his jump was good enough to just clear over.
Meanwhile, we got Flashman in Metal Room. Pretty easy flash fight in this case. Not really effective, really fast. Pretty significantly softly to Buster. And let's see, do we have our... Nope, we don't have our next item. Items 1 and 2 are locked between two of the worst stages.
And this is definitely where it's going to start getting very interesting in the game. You know, He-Man's another stage that's just notorious for getting certain enemies thrown at you in some of the worst ways possible, and there's so many spots to just. And it's just as I'm talking, Metalow jumps right into the lava, which is definitely one of the many things that can happen in this stage.
Which is kind of weird because, in my opinion, this is really not that bad of an enemy set. It probably was just like a missed jump input, as he takes an unfortunate dip into our lava bath.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the birds can be a little bit of a hassle, but overall, it's pretty doable as long as you kind of pay attention to where your next move is. And, yep, Metalow definitely didn't should have hesitated a little bit more on that before he decided to try to go for that jump.
Yeah, that one was definitely a panic shot. And Coltaho tried to get that energy and just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
And both these guys definitely having a little bit of trouble on these stages.
Yeah, proving my point that Joes are just really nasty and pretty much full horde of them.
Definitely, Metalow does get through that part. I mean, although it wasn't such of the worst enemies in that, those birds that drop eggs are definitely can be kind of a problem.
And Metalow successfully does item 3 zip, skipping a significant portion of the second half of Heatman stage. But since he has no item 2, he's gonna have to do the Yoku block sections normally. And Metalow does successfully does the Yoku block section very cleanly. The Yoku block section is definitely something that most players would hesitate in trying to do, but once you know how to read the patterns for the Yoku block sections, it's really not that bad to work with. It's just trying to get the nerve to learn how to just walk through them and learn the patterns, and you pretty much get to Heatman in his vanilla room.
Definitely. Is this even randomized?
Well, at least he's susceptible to Buster, and he's very fast, a very rapid-fire heat. So Metalow is one stage away from reaching the Wily bosses, as he has Crashman left, while Coltaho is still about a couple of Robot Masters behind.
Yep, definitely a little bit behind, but as it's seen in all these tourneys, once we get to the Wily stages, so many things change. So, like I say, don't try to count anybody out just yet. It's, I mean, still too early.
Coltaho taking a nasty death, seeing a nasty Joe Mech surprise coming up towards the end of Woodman stage. Meanwhile, Metalow does find item 1 in Heatman stage, and he's definitely going to try to do the item 1 zip that's in this stage, and we got a real good item 1 for this zip.
This is definitely one of the things that help out so much in this part, because once you get to the other spots here with all the characters, it can either do a couple things. You can have enemies that can jump out and pretty much just throw you right off the stairs, or you could just have just super crazy lag that just takes way too much time for you to get through that entire part.
So it's pretty much, if you know how to do the zip, you definitely have a slight edge, so you don't have to worry about any of those platforming shenanigans that the randomizer can throw at you. Meanwhile, Coltaho, not being able to do the good wood zip that Metalow did earlier, had to deal with Joe Mech, he had to deal with drills. So Coltaho wound up having to struggle just a little bit as he now fights Woodman in his own room.
It shouldn't be too bad of a fight, considering that he's weak to Buster, and just like that, he's done.
So yeah, Metalow is still pretty much working on a pretty solid run in spite of some of the troubles he has. He's about to fight his final boss in the Crash Room, and I don't remember seeing Crashman. I'm almost certain that Crashman is going to be in his vanilla room. And speak of the devil. Look like we got a very high jumping crash, and Metalow decides to take his time to try to beat him. Crashman being one of the more interesting bosses in Rando, but Metalow was able to take him out with pretty careful movement and shots. So good job for Metalow as he's about to be the first to reach our Wally stages.
Yeah, it definitely kind of has an advantage too, because once he gets that high, you can kind of get yourself positioned to kind of jump away from like the crash bombs, which usually could be quite of a hassle.
Well, that's also depending on if he doesn't have the AI that spams crash bomb even when there's one already out in the field. But fortunately, that's not the case in this particular set. But right now, Metalow is about to reach Rally 1, so you know what time it is. If you're familiar with how we do this in the Mega Man 2 Rando, we got a game for you to play. Guess the color of the dragon. So, Matt Philly, take the lead. What do you think our color is going to be? And if you want extra credit, guess the weakness.
All right. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with a purplish color. And I think he's going to be weak to quick.
Well, I'm going to take the blue route, and he's going to be weak to metal. Speaking of metal, we got some particular action with Metalow just getting sniped by the gear enemies, trying to zip with the item, trying to do an item 2 fly. Pretty much got snapped out of the air. While Coltaho unfortunately took a nasty little death trying to deal with the Yoku blocks.
It looks like he's about to try for that zip again after trying to do it a little earlier. And he gets it. He gets it. No problem.
He doesn't have any lives to spare, so hopefully he's able to work and navigate through the Yoku blocks this time, not hopefully slipping and falling or making a wrong mistake. This could be real crucial for him trying to catch up, because he is quite a bit behind Metalow, who's about to make his way to the dragon in a little bit.
Definitely an interesting color scheme we got at Wily's Castle. I wonder why he decided to paint it like that.
Maybe he likes watermelons?
Hey, maybe.
But anyway, Metalow is on his way to the dragon. We're about to see if one of our guesses are correct, as we're about to see what the color of this dragon is going to be. I would say that leans towards the blue side.
Definitely blue with a little bit of green in there.
Let's see if you get extra credit, though. Wow! A++.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And so far, I've in my guesses on commentary, I haven't done bad, so I'm pretty shocked.
I would probably say that would be a bluish green, so I'll probably give credit to probably the blue and the green guys that probably made the guesses.
Definitely.
But anyway, Metalow easily dispenses of the dragon and on his way to Wally 2. Normally this would be the place where you would check for wall weaknesses if Buster is not the weakness when you're checking in Flash. However, I have seen several races several runs from Metalow. He's the kind of person that does not check walls in Wally 2. I'm expecting him to skip checking the walls and go straight for Pico Pico, checking walls when he fights Booby.
And even if he did decide to check the walls at this point, he definitely has enough time because Coltaho still hasn't even gotten to his first Wily stage. And
Metalow does decide to check the walls.
And there we go. So it looks like it's weak to metal.
And Coltaho goes through our elevator section pretty easily. We got a really friendly set of hermit crab enemies blocking the way, which are really friendly enemies to have for the elevator section. It could have been much worse. To be fair, if those were the enemies that were seen in the first screen of Crash, then we would have known right then and there, because usually the first enemies we see in the first screen of Crash are the enemies we're going to see in the elevator section later on.
Yes, definitely. So if you end up seeing things like frogs in that first section, you already know that it's going to be your doom and it's going to be a lag hassle. So
it looks like we found one of the god weaknesses. Well, I don't know. I saw that Leaf Shield was a weakness, but Metalow decides to forego it and look for a different weapon. Maybe it took more than one hit to destroy. Yep, yes it did. It took 2 shots.
That's definitely going to cause a problem.
Looks like he finds Charge Heat instead and decides to go with it.
He's definitely going to cut it close on his reserves for the rest of the game, so he's definitely going to have to stop by possibly in Wily 3 and you know, get some weapon charge for that weapon.
We did not see the item uses for the Metal Blades, so we're not sure if it's going to take so much. We don't know how much it's going to take for Metalow to destroy even one of the walls. Meanwhile, Coltaho is struggling on Crashman, but wisely decides to use the E-Tank and decides to continue to fight from there, which he seems to be vanilla weak to air. Meanwhile, Metalow decides to forego destroying the walls to get his refills, and decides, I think he's using Flash for this section. No, he decides not to. Metalow is one of the people that decides to equip Flash just in case a Fat Fan appears, because this is one of the sections where Fat Fans pretty much spell your doom when you're trying to do jumps over spikes in this section.
Definitely worked out for him, though. The snipers didn't give him too much trouble, so probably made it easier for him to not go use it, because we don't know yet if the flash is going to last for the entire duration or if it's just going to be something quick.
And we got our friendly, interesting, glitched metals that are somehow special in this stage. They just casually walk by you. They don't fire. They just casually walk while saying, "Screw your shots. I'm just taking a quick stroll."
And we got Gustozer over here that's weak to the Buster, which makes it easy for Metalow to just pass through and get ready to go for one of the worst stages, in my opinion, outside of the, you know, the regular 8 bosses, which is Wily 4.
Yeah, Wily 4 can be pretty treacherous depending on what enemy types there are going to be, especially in the moving platform room with the spikes. So we're going to see how Metalow's going to tangle whatever the randomizer decides to have in store for him. Right now, the early going is not going to be too bothersome. It's just going to be the second half that's going to be interesting.
Yes, definitely when we get to the spike stage is going to be a little bit of a hassle. Gonna see how that's going to pan out. It definitely is a blessing and or a curse sometimes.
Metalow cautiously going over the platforms because in this stage, the 2 screens before this one, the fake platforms are randomized, so you don't know which areas has the fake floor. But Metalow took those areas like a true champ.
See, we got Coltaho at the Mecha Dragon. Now he's just fishing to find out exactly which weapon is going to work, which we know is quick.
Well, we know one of the weaknesses is quick.
One, correct.
Well, we know that Coltaho is going to have one nasty little fall, taking a fortunate death to the Mega Dragon. Meanwhile, Metalow decides to take it safe in this particular moving platform section. About to say, I think Metalow's gonna try for the wall crash. He's one of the few people that actively goes for this. If he misses it, he's gonna have himself a little bit of a time. But as a veteran Mega Man 2 player, he pretty much just made that zip look easy.
Definitely made it look easy.
So what Metalow's doing, he's fishing for the weakness for the Boobeans. The Boobean has one weakness and one weakness only, and it's Vanilla Crash. Come on, game, step it up a little bit.
Who made this seed? Come on now. Easily enough, for the fact that he was able to find out what was weak to the walls, made it a lot easier for him to just kind of speed through this portion of the level, or the boss, I should say.
And he's the first to take out on refights, while Coltaho found the weapon but slips off the platform, taking an unfortunate game over.
That's rough.
Yeah, Mega Man 2 fixes are kind of some sketchy physics, especially when you had that little slight slide every time you try to stop, especially nasty on one-block platforms.
Yeah, getting set that back is definitely very heartbreaking, especially when you've gone through it finally and you've figured out what to do.
Meanwhile, seeing like that, Metalow is just going to have himself a little bit of a ball, just trying to dig and figure out some of the weaknesses, at least for the ones that aren't so susceptible to Buster. So, for those that aren't aware of what we mean by how these bosses are Buster weak, in the randomize, it takes the page from the vanilla game in that 4 of the 8 bosses are soft weak to the Buster. And since we're playing on easy mode for the sake of new players getting in and wanting to have a crack at the tournament, each boss will take 4 units of damage if they're specifically weak to the Buster.
Metalow going through the refights as it has no problem for him. He's making it definitely look easily. And I think the only thing he's really probably worried about at this point is if the Wily machine is going to be weak to Buster, or something that he can get to really quick to move on faster.
That's very true. The Wily machine has a slight chance of being Buster immune. It has I want to say it has a 50% shot in that it could be Buster immune. If it's Buster weak, then the Buster is weak for the Wily machine on both phases. If not, then Metalow's gonna have to search for specific weapons that are weak to the machine. And in between phases, a weakness will be locked out. So there's a potential for one weakness to work on one phase, but not on the other.
Yes, definitely. And if he gets lucky, which which is funny enough, this entire tournament I've seen quite a bit of Buster Week Wily machines, and Coltaho took another spill off that platform as he was trying to take out that dragon.
It's a really awkward quick boomerang to use. No curvature, it's just a straight upward angle. Really makes it hard to get a good shot on the dragon. Coltaho is just struggling on the dragon quite a bit. Meanwhile, we do indeed have ourselves a Buster Week machine.
Metalow is going to take his time and try to, wrap up some energy before he decides to go take this guy off with Buster. And head into the Alien Wily stage with some extra ammo, but he better watch himself here.
Nah, Metalow's fine. He's a pro. He knows how to take care of himself.
He's a pro.
But yeah, it was fortunate that the weapon capsules are there. Duckfist, the creator of this randomizer, out of the goodness of his heart, knowing that the ammo situation could get sketchy throughout the Wily stages, decided to add 2 large weapon capsules during the machine fight and here at the beginning of Wily 6, where you would normally have to go with nothing in reserve. So it's fortunate that Duckfist took note of that and decided to add those in. Meanwhile, Metalow does a superb zip into the gate to fight our alien. So let's see what our alien is weak to. It ain't Buster. Tries Leaf Shield, doesn't work. Quit Boomerang doesn't work. The dig continues. It's
vanilla.
Game, are you even trying? Seriously, come on now. Regardless of the matter, Metalow has finished first place with an official SRL time of 35 minutes and 6 seconds. So GG's to Metalow, who probably would, in his mind, probably would say is a little subpar for him. He probably needs to be used to his 33s and his 34s.
Nevertheless, did come out of that pretty well.
Oh, and while we were focusing on Metalow's finish, Coltaho did eventually beat the dragon and decides to continue on finishing the game. So hopefully Coltaho does decide to continue on to at least give himself a little bit of a confidence boost as he tries to at least makes an official finish. Of course, be sure to follow our runners as they taking time out of the schedule to bring you what is to be our final match of our first set of brackets.
Yes, definitely make sure you guys follow them. And as soon as this part of the tournament's done, the brackets will start to get set for the final stages, and that's where the real fun begins for all the people who have qualified. And we're definitely going to see some of the best of this randomizer tournament in these next couple weeks.
While Coltaho saw the Leaf Shield, but wisely decides to ignore it in favor of a charged key, as he just pretty much just one-shots each and every Pico unit. Needs to watch his health though. He can only take probably one more pot shot from Pico before taking a death. He might want to consider taking an E-Tank. Well, never mind. So yeah, Coltaho continuing on his merry little way. Already aware that Metalow's finished, but decides to finish. He wants to have a strong finish so he has some confidence into the next. Well, I was about to say, don't scare me like that, Coltaho. I want you to finish. Don't stop. Please don't stop. Don't stop. Go faster. Please go faster.
If you definitely haven't seen any of these randomizer races, this is a best out of 3 match. So Coltaho can definitely win the next match, and then we can go into a sudden death of round 3 to see who would advance and who would basically be done with the tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely not over Coltaho. Coltaho is one of the regulars that runs some of the weekly races, so he's definitely a veteran Mega Man 2 randomizer player. But up against a force that is like Metalow, who's not only good at the randomizer, but also is good with vanilla strats, any percent strats, it's definitely an uphill battle. But as we like to keep stressing, this is still randomizer. Like we said earlier at the very beginning, Metalow got knocked down to losers by stuffing things when he was actually one of the stronger runners and just had a bad set of seeds and races and got knocked down to losers. So Coltaho does still have a shot if the seed swings to Metalow's disadvantage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be anyone's game come game 2, and if we end up in the game 3, it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch.
Well, meanwhile, Coltaho handily dispenses of the Guts tank and is on his way to Wily 4, which is actually a pretty friendly Wily 4. There were really no major enemies that were in the way of any given room, so this should, unless Coltaho has some platforming issues, he should be able to get through the rest of Wily 4 pretty simple enough. Well, while we're waiting for Coltaho to continue on and finish, want to continue to at least add a little features that you probably saw in the credits on Metalow side of the screen. As you can see, as you probably saw through the credits, you were able to see a damage table for the 8 robots and the Wily bosses. So once you beat the game, you can actually see what weaknesses were strong to which robot master and the Wily stages. So there's a potential. You can pretty much just learn what you have potentially gotten right or what you messed up on. So that's another nice little addition that Duff is added. Also, you see the presented by Halkin. The game developer is randomized as well, such as the intros for the Mega Man 2 prologue, that's randomized. There's just so many elements as wow.
That was definitely rough.
Coltaho might have overestimated his item 1 placement, taking a nasty little spell.
I mean, at this point, he is aware that Metalow has taken the victory, so he can definitely, you know, take a little bit more of his time to get through this without having to try to rush too much.
Yeah, that is true. But you still kind of want to keep yourself warmed up, so you probably would still want to go as fast as you can, just so that you can get your speed running groove all in set and all in sync, so that you can get ready for the next race.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Decide to take a quick fill of item 1 so he can have a means to get back up if Boobean decides to knock him off. Don't know why Coltaho decides to shoot the Boobeans when he knows that. Well, at least he finds crash bombs really, really fast.
Definitely made that look fast.
He was having himself a good boobing fight until he just having quite a bit of trouble on that 2-tile high jump.
Yeah, that jump is definitely pretty tight sometimes. If you don't, you know, practice it very often, it definitely can be a headache.
I know I hate that 2-tile jump.
It's definitely not my favorite.
Mega Man 2 is just really wonky. Well, it's that, and also if you have to deal with it with the added influence of lag, it's not a fun jump to try.
Yeah. It's definitely giving me just so much of a headache that I just decide to knock the wall out and not even just deal with it.
Coltaho going through his refights, taking a little bit of pot shots on Boatman, trading some damage. Gets flash, but still takes out Flashman, no problems.
He also did use a couple of the items to get some of these bosses out pretty quick. So if he remembers those items, he could definitely knock some of these bosses out pretty quick. Another big thing is he doesn't have to worry about the bombs being above him if he decides to jump higher to get rid of Metal Man here.
And does decide to look for a weakness since Metal Man was not so strong to the Buster. So he tries for Leaf Shield, but Leaf Shield really isn't doing all that much, but he decides to stick with it anyway. Leaf Shield has a pretty decent consumption, so it might as well be a choice.
Ooh, and he was really kind of close having just that one bar.
Wow, Drains that crash really kind of something silly. Decides to take the death. Just refill his energy and just start over from scratch. Guess he wanted to save his E-tanks for the machine and for the Wily Alien. Crashman giving Coltaho a little bit of trouble, but he still manages to safely defeat Crashman, gets the energy, and faces off against a pretty weak Bloodman this seed.
He definitely makes it look easy.
Got a couple of robot matches to go before he gets his obligatory free fight with our Buster Week machine. Gotta be... Yeah, I thought so.
Ooh.
Gotta really watch your health. Airman takes... I think I've seen more deceptive kills from Airman than any other robot master. Airman deals a lot of contact damage on his body. So much so that when you see your health when you think your health is just high enough that you can survive a body shot, it's that moment, which happens yet again, that Coltaho just decides to take a death. He needs to probably consider popping in an E-tank very soon. If this happens again, he cannot afford to continue taking gambles like that or rolling the dice on his health.
Yeah, not even just that. I mean, just if he would have to force the game over, it would definitely set him back quite a bit when he's already gone through pretty much a good chunk of the bosses.
This time, wisely decides to use the E-tank so he doesn't wind up having to have yet another chance of getting set far back during the refights. And now he has one more robot match to go before his free fight. I need to pop that E-tank again. Get help. Thank you.
I was holding my breath on that one.
Yeah, Heatman does the single most damage out of all the Robot Masters, so one more hit and that definitely would have been the end of it. Pop in that E-tank. Thank you. We need to give Squidman's perfect lecture on how to use E-tanks in a randomizer scene. Well, anyway, Coltaho finishes off the machine and is on his way to the alien, where he was. Yeah, I was about to say what he was weak to, but he was weak to vanilla bubbles. Well, Coltaho pretty much has an idea of what he wants to use. If he decides to keep Bubble on, well, let's see what he switches to. Well, he switches to Buster. He had Bubbles out in the beginning, which was the correct decision, but he just decides to stock up on his weapons just to have the information, just in case he might have to force game over and refill his weapons completely.
Well, once he finds the bubble, this definitely will make this super easy, and then he can definitely call in his time and get ready for the next match.
Coltaho needs to be careful. He can't take another hit.
Oh.
Well, that's the unfortunate. Well, it was an unfortunate game over, but he knows everything now. So all he needs to do is just worry about dodging the shots just a little better, and he'll pretty much finish his seed. Definitely. So we're on it. We're on our way to the end, folks. So we're gonna have match 2 in a little bit as soon as Coltaho finishes. So you got the bubbles equipped. Now to spam the living daylights out of them. Just watch out for the shots, please. Please watch out for the shots. Oh, sweet mercy. Anyway, good job for Coltaho. Deciding to stick it out and finishes with official SRL time of 51 minutes and 47 seconds. Well, no, 51 minutes and 21 seconds. I was reading something else. It was actually it was his old race best. He beat his personal race best by 26 seconds. So yes, this is match 1 of a best of 3 series. We just finished race 1, and now we're about to have race 2 getting set up in a little bit. Right now, they should be getting their next seeds.
Yeah, definitely a chance for Coltaho to come back and take game 2 to force a game 3, and hopefully get him to win the series if he can get through that second one. So, like I said, it's still anybody's game. Metalow definitely pulled out an amazing win, but never want to count anybody out when it comes to these randomizers.
Yeah, Coltaho, while he was behind, his fate was definitely sealed by the time of the Mega Dragon. The quick boomerang that was the weakness was a pretty wonky weakness this time around, and really just gave him a lot of trouble. Hopefully, Coltaho will bounce back and give it even more of his all in game 2 and try to tie this series up.
Definitely.
So as we were saying, right now we're just waiting for the next seed for our 2 racers to boot up so we can move on to our next race. Let's see, looks like we have our next seat set. Yes, we do. We do have our next seat set up. We're just waiting for our runners to receive their seeds and get it set up for their gaming systems. So, Matt Philly, what did you think about our first race? What did you take away from it?
I definitely seen Metalow, go right in and do what he's normally used to doing in any race in general when he does Mega Man. And what I saw to Coltaho, it seems like he was a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more scared to do some things while he was running it. And I think in this race, I'm hoping that maybe he could just shake the jitters off and you know, come in and make it a closer race, or even take it for the second, so we could see a game 3. My favorite thing in these type of tournaments is to always see a sudden death game 3. It's always the best, and we've had a couple really great ones in this tournament. So I would love to see one of more before we you know, go ahead and start that final stage bracket.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Coltaho is very capable of reaching times that are close to Metalow if he has a good enough C that favors his play style. But for right now, Metalow is, in spite of his errors, still seems to get 35s with at a drop of a dime. It's just gonna be really tough for Coltaho to just try to manage what Metalow does. So it's gonna have to bank on not only his skill, but a seed that just messes Metalow so far up that it just gives Coltaho a proper chance to come back.
Definitely. But like I said, like I've always said, I mean, I've some of the best racers in that you know play vanilla Mega Man 2 struggle quite a bit in some of these games. So you never know what's going to happen. Not saying that Metalow couldn't, you know, overcome any of those obstacles, but we've always seen something different from some people here. And I mean, you yourself, LV, who is also in this tournament and has moved on, you're definitely could agree that there's times where it can get frustrating when you're going through some of these levels.
Of course. Anyway, look like we got our seat set. Our racers are pretty much ready. We're about to see if we got the OK on IRC.
Looks like they're readying up.
Yep, everyone is readying up. We're just waiting for the countdown to begin, and we can begin race 2. And the countdown has officially begun. Welcome to race 2 of our best of 3 series between Metalow and Coltaho, which is a winner go home match. Winner continues on into the second phase of our tournament, while the loser is unfortunately eliminated from the randomizer tournament. We're gonna give a moment for the streams to catch up, but I'm pretty sure they're about to get ready and already on the right now.